Hello and welcome to another episode of Crossing Bridges, the talk show. This is a talk show where Black men and youth can talk about the issues of today. My name is Larry Montgomery, Sr. I'm the host, and this is my co-host, William. William, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. I'm William Montgomery. Proud to be here. God bless everyone.
This week last week we started, I guess that was part two of the Willie Lynch letter. And this would be part three, where we're going to focus on there's Willie Lynch's strategy for breaking the Black woman. But because of current events, we decided that we're going to put a little time in talking about current events. And we're actually on two different sides of the issue here, so it should be interesting. I have to say that for me, fundamentally, as someone who has served in the military, matter of fact, we both have served in the military, we understand the concept of democracy and how it's important, because at times we have put our life on the line for it, in support of it. I think that what happened this particular week, while in the military, we fought and stood and risked our lives for people to have the right to express themselves, whether they agree or disagree, is one thing. The way people express themselves is totally different, a different issue. And that's the issue I have a problem with this week. We have processes in place, a judicial system. And yes, we can have a conversation about how effective it is and how fair and just it is. We can have that conversation, but we do have it in place. And we are all encouraged to use it. Again, we can have that conversation about how just it is later on, but right now it's in place and we're all encouraged to use it. And one of the reasons why we use it is to save lives. Keep lives safe. I don't have to worry about dying because I have a different opinion than you. And that's the problem I have with what happened this week. You know, on the one hand, I could say, and I think my colleague will agree with me, that sometimes bad things happen because people with other agendas get involved in the situation. True. Which saddens me, because if I was there to express my concerns about whatever, and the person next to me pulled out a gun and started shooting, I would have a problem. I would have problems, yeah, but I would have a problem with that because I didn't come there to shoot anybody. It isn't that important, okay? Because just like that person next to me decided to shoot someone, it could have been the other way around. And then what would I have to say? You snuck me and shot me because you disagree with what somebody else decided? Go home and tell your mother about that and let me know what she thought. If you're fighting for something that makes sense and you're willing to risk your life for it, risk your life. But go and take someone else's life who had absolutely no control over it. No control. I go and vote. That's it. I'm not going to fight. I joined the military to fight so you could have the right to vote. I'm not going to do anything else. I mean, come on. This is ludicrous. So let me stop, get off my stump, and let my co-host have the floor.
Well, unlike my father, he's well informed on this subject. I have been in the media blackout, so I've just been enjoying quietness, watching movies and stuff like that. So I'm at a loss for this subject. I mean, I've heard some stuff, but I don't have any knowledge of what the reason was, what happened. I do know that somebody lost their life, unfortunately, I don't know what the deal was, so I really can't speak on that. But any loss of life is unfortunate because it was probably not needed to be lost.
Yeah, I mean, when going down to protest, all right, you're voicing your opinion and stuff, and you're hoping to encourage those in place, in position to either join in or to at least explain to you why they went the way they went. Okay, I mean, that's how civilized people treat each other. You know, going in to bully you to agree to what I want because I want it. That's not what that's not what I signed up for. I haven't signed up for that. And one of the other points, I'm going to make 2 points tonight. The first point is when um, the response to the crowd showing up in the Capitol this time was substantially weaker than the response when the Black Lives Matters groups showed up. I think that when the Black Lives Matters, and I may be wrong, but I'm just telling you what I think here. When the Black Lives Matters groups showed up, the response, the security response, was substantially greater than when the Million Man March showed up, 20 years ago. So first off, it wasn't like Washington, D.C. had never seen a lot of people show up. That's number one. Number two, when Black people showed up, it was a substantial presence of law enforcement. But when white folks showed up, you couldn't find a cop, which made a problem for the cops who were actually on duty because they were overwhelmed. I mean, they showed a video of one of the Black cops backing up from the door inside the Capitol building, people coming in, and they weren't like rushing in. They were kind of like hesitantly walking in, like, oh, I can come in. Even though the cop may have been saying, because he didn't have any audio, may have been saying, get out, don't come in. You don't hear it because there was no audio. But you could see that the people that came in were hesitant, and they came in. And the cop backs up the stairs himself, and the people start to like follow him. And he backed up another, flight of stairs, and people are following him. I'm saying, first off, I don't understand that kind of thinking. I mean, you got a bunch of people coming in that not supposed to be coming in. Okay, you're there by yourself. Your job is to protect, and you turn and run.
Well, I mean, it's not a mystery though, because that's what's been happening throughout the United States, and certain government-ran agencies have been telling their officers to stand down while people were very destructive and violent, and some lives were lost, unfortunately. But when you don't hear about it, what do? You go on with your life, and you hope for the best. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's going on that a lot of people probably won't agree with if they knew the information. But because unfortunately you have certain areas where information is not being processed or given to people as they should, I mean, you can like the information, you can hate the information, but if somebody just decides not to give it to you at all, that should be a problem for anybody. I mean, if you go looking for it and you don't find it, okay, that's one thing. But if you are actually prevented from getting information that will help you live your day-to-day life, I think that's a problem. Because like I said, a lot of these areas where people are in control, they're telling these police officers to stand down. There's probably a reason why there was not that many people out there for protection. And I beg to differ with you on one point. The Black Lives Matters movement, a lot of those people weren't all black, and you had a lot of Antifa there, which predominantly they're white, uh, white rich kids that live off of trust funds and probably would be in college right now, but because college is closed, they have nothing to do and idle hands. So they're out there trying to prove how supportive of black people they are by doing the exact same thing that they're saying that they're against. Because if you don't allow people to talk, if you silence people with violence, that is actually what fascism is. And that's what they've been doing. And because they say, no, we're against it, and people believe what they're saying instead of looking at their actions and seeing, wait a minute, your actions are not matching up with what you're saying. If you're anti-fascist, but you're using fascist tactics, how can you be anti-fascist? You see what I'm saying? So, but when you try to point this out to people, they say, no, 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 he's anti-fascist. But look at his tactics. If his tactics are fascist tactics, is he really anti-fascist? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But they tell you, no, 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 it's an idea, it's a thought, it's not an organization, it's not a group. Okay, so we're supposed to believe all of this. Okay, we'll believe that. But again, there's still lives are lost under certain governmental agencies saying, oh, they don't, it's not a problem. It's just protests. It's not rioting. It's not violence. Black people aren't out here being killed. There was one guy who was down with Black Lives Matter. A guy, I think he was a Rastafarian, killed. Because even though he was part of Black Lives Matter, he was still a Trump supporter. And somebody walked up to him and shot him point blank range. Well, guess it doesn't matter, what your color is. If people disagree with you, they're going to kill you no matter what. Because,
well, that's a sad commentary for whether you're black or white. That because you have a different opinion about something, that your life is at risk. You might find that in Soviet Russia, but you shouldn't find that here. And it shouldn't be tolerated here. And herein lies where we're at right now with the discussion on impeaching the president because of what we understand his role was in this attempted insurrection on Wednesday. The conversation is going from, well, impeach him, and then how long is that going to take? Because the House is ready to do it on Monday, they'll submit the articles of impeachment. By Wednesday, they'll have the vote. And I guess by Friday, it'll be on McConnell's desk. McConnell being a Republican and a staunch supporter of the president. And I say that because he's a staunch supporter of the president and not of the Constitution. See, this is the thing. You signed up for the job. You volunteered, you worked, you got voted in, you're getting paid to do a job, but you have the nerve to stand there and tell people to their face, I'm not here for you, I'm here for the guy that I like. And so is it the party? No, it's not the party, it's the guy that I like. And we continue to pay, but okay, I'm not going to dwell on that. So one conversation is about the impeachment. The other conversation is about invoking the 25th Amendment, which would be the responsibility of the vice president. Now, he's already indicated that he's not interested in doing that. I guess that's a personal decision because what people have seen, what's being reported, okay, and whether it was reported or not, what people have seen would give you leave to think that there was a problem here. And okay, so you're the vice president and you say you didn't see it. Okay, fine. Does that stop you from considering and taking the process up because maybe somebody else saw it? I would think that it's a part of your job to consider it one way or the other. but because it's clear that you like the president. And I would tell you that over the 4 years that I've seen this man Pence and his involvement and interaction with the president, I would think that there's a little more going on there than just you boss and me employee. Okay. Because I would never expect a man to cow down under the circumstances that he has because his boss, the guy who he works for, has emasculated him on a regular basis, insulted him on a regular basis, threatened him on a regular basis. And he's standing there and he has the power to change the course of history and has already made up his mind that he's not even considering it, when it's his job to consider that earnestly. And so my thought, this is my final thought as far as the 2 points I wanted to make, instead of focusing on invoking the 25th Amendment to get rid of Trump, we should be getting rid of Pence. Because I think that the deal is already cut, because I know it's already been reported that the aircrafts have been prepared to take Trump wherever he wants to go on the 19th. So my thought is Pence is going to sit here and not do anything until the 18th, when Trump resigns at lunch. That afternoon, Pence will be sworn in. That evening, Pence will draft the papers to pardon Trump and his family. I don't think it's going to include Rudy Giuliani, but Trump and his family are going to be pardoned Tuesday morning. Trump will fly out to wherever he's going, probably not even Mar-a-Lago because they don't want him there, but wherever he's going to go. And then the 20th will come and it will all be over. That's my prediction. Okay. So there's no reason for Pence to even rock the boat, to exact his revenge, because the deal has already been made. We already know what's going to happen. And anybody standing there watching this movie, if you can't figure that out, you must have went out during a commercial.
Well, that was a great monologue, or whatever you want to call it. But like I said, as you so eloquently described, the ball keeps rolling. Our job is to not get rolled over by it. But everybody seems to feel like they're part of that whole constituent that's making these things happen, because they're supporters of democracy. And like I said, when a system that's set up for the people is corrupted and then controlled by the people, the elites that don't care hide or hair of the people that's affected by the system, when they control both sides of the system, Democrat and Republican, and we as pawns are on their chess game, and they're pitting each other against each other, and they're just sitting back watching, enjoying the show. Yeah, they're having a great movie session. It's a saga that they have, going on with everybody fighting each other, but they're not affected because they're where they're at and we're where we're at. We're at ground zero. They're off in their towers, or in their mountain properties and stuff like that, with acreage of support and private security with guns and all kinds of protection devices for them. But average people, black, white, Hispanic, brown, Asian, we're the people that get affected by all these decisions that they make.
True.
And it's sad to say that, like I said, when information is not given and people are busy because they're trying to live. Everybody wants to live their life, want to feed their kids, want to grow old, want to, live the American dream and things like that. And all that sounds good. And it is good when you have opportunity for it. But like I said, the facade that we actually have a choice, it's eventually we're going to see that, it's a facade because, like I said, when you go out there and you vote, and I go out there and I vote, and then there's magically additional votes that exceed the number of the population in a particular area, then that kind of dilutes your vote and my vote. Because even if you were on the majority team, you can't take credit for being the one who voted on the winning team because your vote was diluted by 100% more votes being added in, And if you're on the losing side, you know, if you were actually supposed to win, but somebody added some votes in there that shouldn't have been there, then even though you won, you really lost. And even though you lost, you really won. It kind of tears up the whole system. So everybody loses in the end, except for those people who are controlling both sides, because no matter who wins, they always win.
Well, I agree that, there's problems on both sides of the coin, you know, and in response to the point of, we're at ground zero and all the elite are standing up there, pulling strings or whatever. That's fine. I think at the end of the day I know at the end of the day, there's only one string, and that's the one that God is pulling. And when he yanks it, things happen. And, one way or the other, whether we agree or disagree on it, I'd rather it leave it in God's hands to take care of it and let him do whatever he's going to do, as long as he takes care of me. Okay. Right now, I'm still standing. Okay. Fortunately for me, I wasn't one who was chosen to go protest or demonstrate or whatever. I wasn't one who was chosen to be the sacrificial lamb, if you will. And so I thank God for that. I feel bad for the people who did. I feel even just as bad for those people who failed to do their job. I feel bad for the people who are not doing their job because they have another agenda and have hoodwinked us one way or the other. But, this is life. This is the world that we live in. And, we have to try to do the best we can until we can't do no more. We can agree and we can disagree. It ain't personal. It shouldn't be personal. It's not life-threatening. It shouldn't be life-threatening. Because at the end of the day, we're all still here. We're all still considered Americans by everybody else who's not an American, whether we're African Americans or white Americans or Hispanic Americans, like that. I think the only real Americans are the Native Americans, if you will, so there's always some sort of an adjective here or there because someone else has labeled everything. But anyway, these are times that I don't think anyone could have scripted. I don't think anyone could have imagined that things were going to come to this because, again, the processes and the thoughts are foreign to this kind of behavior. You listen, there are processes in place. Like I said, you can sue anybody for anything. One criticism would be, since you've stacked the Supreme Court in your favor, if they don't go along with what you have to say, that would be something that you should consider, seriously consider, because we all would want, whether the Supreme Court justices are Democrats or Republicans, that they would respect and focus on the law first, not their political persuasions or the ones who favored and appointed them. And so with that being the case, and at that level of concern for the voting outcome, that the Trump administration brought absolutely nothing to the table to prove that there was voter fraud, we at Ground Zero might want to consider the fact that maybe, just maybe, there wasn't enough of it that other people, other people agreed with. Because again, finally, the subject matter, which inspired what happened on the 6th and continues to be a debate, is based on one person's opinion of what happened that they can't prove, no matter who they walk up on, except for the followers, the diehards, which is fine. They're right. It's fine. Sure, you're right to do that. But I just hope that at some point, I'm not talking about you, I'm just saying you in general, people in general, take a hard look at it and say, well, listen, we had our whole team out here, our whole team, and our team fought amongst itself, and we lost. Am I on the right team? I don't like to be on a team that loses. Really. I don't. But then again, if I was, it's not for me to take it out on the other team, because the other team did what they were supposed to do, and my team imploded on itself, more than likely because of its leadership. And therein lies the rub. I said before, if you had the skill sets to do the job, even if you didn't do the job and you just talked the game, you'd still be there.
Well,
okay.
Well, I hear what you're saying. And the problem is, when you know the system, which a lot of us don't know the system because we're not taught the system unless we're inside the system learning by trial and error. If you get lucky, you might wiggle through the system and get to the other side unscathed. But most of our people, when we go into the system, we're going at it with the system against us. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the people who are well informed of the system, the people in power, people who have money, have the resources to put certain people in public office, such as district attorneys and attorney generals, state attorney generals, and things of that nature, who have been funded. Many of them have been funded by an individual named George Soros, so that they can get a lot of stuff done. Yeah. So when you know the system and you have enough resources to get people into the right positions so that certain things get done or don't get done, help these people, don't help these people, it's not a checkers game, it's chess. And the problem is, the people that control the system, they want you to believe whatever you want to believe to make you happy so that you don't identify them. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, if you look at it, anybody that's famous, you can Google them and see what their net worth is. But how many of us know who the 1% is? Because they don't want you to know. Because when you know who it is that you're dealing with, then you have a fighting chance. But when you don't know where you're getting hit from. And see, that's the scary part.
Mm.
That's the thing that people need to understand. It's not what you see, you know what I'm saying? It's not what you hear from your friends, There's actually things out there that you and I don't know, don't hear of, but the evidence is there. Because when you look at the evidence and you see, wait a minute, this happened, this happened, this happened, and this happened. If you follow the evidence logically, you come up with the answer. Now, you may not be able to get other people to believe what the evidence is or see the evidence because they don't want to. They're happy because they got the result that they wanted,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they believe they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But last time I checked, free college, free healthcare. Now I'm retired, so I get free healthcare. Back in 2013, when we had a different president, all right, the VA was my healthcare system, and there were a lot of people dying, waiting for service in its free healthcare system that the government ran, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people dying, simple surgery. My doctor told me, said it's a 2-year wait for people who need surgeries. 2 years. So you're talking about somebody that has an issue with their heart, they got to wait 2 years. Somebody that has a problem with their liver or something, 2 years. I'm like, oh man, this okay. Didn't think none of it. It's like, okay, people putting up billboards outside the VA saying the VA is killing people. Yeah, that was happening down here in Georgia because the lines were so long, the wait times were so long. But this is what people want. They want free government healthcare, government ran healthcare, which wasn't working so well until this president came in and said, you know what, give them an opportunity to go to the outside markets. If you don't have time, if you can't be seen within 30 to 60, if you can't be seen within 60 days, they now offer veterans the ability to go to the outside networks to get help, and the VA covers it. So government run healthcare is not what people want. You know what I'm saying? People die with government healthcare. Now, if there's a few people, that's taken care of by the government, then the lines will be a lot shorter, But when you get millions and millions and millions, and you got government workers who are guaranteed a check, rain, sleet, hail, snow, you think that they're going to be in a rush to do extra work to make sure that you get to the front of the list? I think not. And then free college. Now, all this is paid by tax money. All these young folks that want free college, they're like, oh, I ain't got no job. I can go to school for free. Yeah. And then when you get that job and they start taking 50, 60% of your check, and you're like, well, where's my money going? It's called taxes. But I don't agree with this tax, man. Why I got to pay half my check going? I work hard for my money. Well, remember you went to school for free, right? Well, everybody else behind you is going to go to school for free too, on your dime. Well, I don't like that. I really don't like that. But this is what you voted for because you wanted to go to school for free, but you didn't understand that came with a future check that you were going to be writing every month, every pay period. But hey, knowledge is power, And like I said, when you work hard and you work hard for your money, you want to be able to take care of your family, and you want the government to do their job because you do your job. Their job is to make sure that we're protected. A lot of times they fail on their job, and we're supposed to go, and we still, even during this pandemic, when people were out of work, they still got their taxes. Those government employees, they didn't waive their checks. They didn't say, well, hey, my constituents are without pay, so I'm gonna go without pay. None of them did that. None of them. Actually, one person did, but they'll remain nameless because they're not gonna get credit for it no way. They've been doing it since before the pandemic. That's the problem. But none of those people in those government offices said, you know what, I got enough money. And from my point being, um, we got a lot of colored folks that believe in the Democrat Party. And we believed in the Democrat Party for decades. And all this time with systemic racism and nothing being fixed. And we identified that there's systemic racism, and the Democrat Party never fixed it. Let's look at California. California, Democrat from the top down. You think they still have systemic racism in their Democrat-ran society? I believe so. And are there Black people suffering? Yep. So these are the same people that we're asking for to lead our country because they're so great at it in the state of California, with a lot of the 1%ers live. Now, a lot of them are Democrats too. My question to them is, if you have all these billions of dollars and you believe in, government taking care of people and stuff like that, why don't you take some of your billions and go to these less fortunate people and donate your money to them? Actually, like, give out $1,000 a month, 2,000, 3,000. I mean, you got more money than you can spend in a lifetime. But they don't care. If they cared, they wouldn't want the government to force it on people. They would just say, hey, you know what? I got this money. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to give it to these people. Black people make up 13% of America, 13, 14, 15%, whatever. It's less than 20%. You don't think that there's enough millionaires and billionaires in California to take care of that 15, 16%? If they're all Democrat, why don't they do that? Because it's not about helping anybody. It's not about it. It's about power. And when we had a Black president with a Democrat-ran Senate and a Democrat-ran House, 2007, 2008, 2009, you can go check it, the 111th Congress, the 112th Congress. Yeah, you can check it out. When they had the majority in all three places, and us Black folks, we've been asking about reparations for years. Never happened. Didn't happen under a Democrat-ran government. Ain't gonna happen under any ran government, because that would give us too much power. We would not need them to take care of us. So it will never happen, because when you give people a chance to take care of themselves, they don't need you no more. And that's the problem. When we have the opportunity to work for ourselves, look at Black Wall Street. We had Black folks that were millionaires doing their own thing, taking care of themselves, doing this. And what happened? It came and got tore down, right? Got destroyed, because they don't want us to not need them. And that's the bottom line.
Alrighty then. Made a lot of points there. Okay. And the wheel keeps going round and round.
Mm-hmm.
Just try to stay out of the way. You don't get rolled over.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, and the only point I would make is that usually when that happens is because we decided to step in front of the wheel. Sometimes we have to be our own worst enemy. And that's part of life, but hopefully you live and you learn. Not all of us are learning. Some of us are just still living. And maybe someday we'll do some soul searching and realize that there's a better way to do this. One that works well. not partially, not sometimes, not because everybody else is in agreement with it, but works well. The Black Wall Street thing, great happening, unfortunately got comfortable and just assumed that it was okay with your haters. The one thing about haters is their job is to hate. It don't matter how long they hate. Their job is to hate.
Mhm.
And so, you got it going on and you think everything is well. And then the next thing you know, car hit you from behind. Didn't expect that. But had you been driving the bus instead of a car, the blow wouldn't have been that hard, that bad. But, you live and you learn. The next time we do a Black Wall Street, we'll probably have a moat around it. So we don't have to worry about getting hit from behind. They'll have to come up with something new. But anyway, and I've said this before, Black folks spend a lot of time relying on the government. And capitalistic democracy is not about all of what we think it's about. We just don't want to interpret it the way that everybody else has interpreted. You look at the Hispanic community, you look at the Chinese community, any other community. They come home, they spend their money amongst themselves. They ain't running over to Olive Garden. They ain't trying to get up all on Red Lobster. They ain't even look for Burger King. They spend amongst themselves. But lesson we haven't learned. And then we turn around and say, well, why? Why I ain't got? Why I ain't got? You gave it away. Oh, the government should do this. The government should do that. Did they do it? No. So how long are you going to stand there and talk about the government should do? Go do it for yourself.
Mhm.
Oh, no, I'm paying taxes for it. Between taxes and death, you're not going to escape either one. So get over it and go do something for yourself. Oh, the government handing out checks. You continue to stand there and wait for that check. Let me know how it works out for you, because guaranteed next tax season, they're going to be looking to get that check back.
Mhm.
Oh, that's not right. Anyway, we have hit the 43-minute marker.
Mhm.
Time for you to make your announcement.
Yep. Well, everyone, at the end of every episode, I try to offer people to come and make comments and different topics that they want to hear us discuss. And also, we like to invite you to join in some of the discussions. You can send us a chat while we're on, or send us a comment in the comment section. And we look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching us.
And thank you, son, for participating. Thank you, viewers. God bless you. And we will, God willing, see you next week.
God willing. God bless.
God bless.